Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Motorsports. Joe Samdiego here, along with Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. A big thank you to our Patreon subscribers, Colin the Shell, Mark, Robin, and David, our newest Patreon. You too can invest in the Grid Network. Click the link in the video description. In less than 5 minutes, you could be helping us get to the track, recapping the races, and staying on the air. And Daniel, what a big weekend we have here for sports cars. The 24 hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24. And with this big race for IMSA to start a new season, a new era in sports car racing, a lot of attention in GT class, and especially one of the new entries. We have the Iron Dames, Rahel Fry, Sarah Bovey, Michelle Gadding, and Dorianne Pin, who had a sensational 2021 season. How big is this for the Iron Dames program to be in this event here in the United States, and especially if for hardcore fans that follow them in Europe, now they're here in the United States, how huge will this be for just everyone to get to see what this team is all about?
Oh yes, definitely huge weekend for sports car racing. The Rolex 25 of Daytona is really always one of the big events of the year in motor racing. And as you said, that it's a new kind of a new era for sports cars. It really feels so for prototypes, but also for GT racing for the GT classes. In GTD, as you mentioned, we have the new addition to the IMSA grid, the Iron Dames. They really made history last year in Europe, in the World Endurance Championship, in GT World Challenge, in the European Le Mans Series. It's been a huge progression in the last 3 or 4 years or so. And now I think it's really a natural step for them to get into IMSA. It's incredibly competitive this year. Of course, they are with a new manufacturer, so there's still something they are learning. It's not like they're championship and winning straight away, I think, but it was a very natural step for them after all the important events and championship that they entered since 2019 when the project was created by Deborah Meyer, the now FIA president of the Women in Motorsport Commission. I think also the drivers that I've talked to previously to the announcement, it was something that the American racing, it was something that they wanted to explore more. Obviously it makes sense for a project like this, especially with the new manufacturer contract with Lamborghini, to get into this big event. And as you said, for the European fans that had followed Iron Dames prior to their IMSA arrival, I think it's the 24 hour of Daytona. It's always a race that pretty much everyone here is following. Mainly because it's at the very beginning mainly because it's one of the most important races in the world, but also because it's at the very beginning of the year. So it comes in a period of the year in January when here there's other racing going on. So everyone is following this event. But I think that with more teams coming from Europe to the US and vice versa also, there will be a lot more people, more fans following, I think, throughout the season, throughout the year in IMSA, which, for example, after it's been growing a lot also here in Europe. It's no more like let's say 10 years ago when here it wasn't really a championship that was much followed, apart from a couple of really huge events like the Daytona. But now I think many people that are following the sports car races here are huge fans of the IMSA championship.
Definitely huge fans. And of course, as I mentioned, the drivers, Dorian Pin, she had a phenomenal year last year, getting a lot of huge accomplishments. A lot of folks very excited to see her, and I gotta say, I'm very excited to see how she handles Daytona International Speedway. Of course, known for those high bankings in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 of the oval. Of course, there's the road course section in the middle. Michelle Gaddon, she's gonna be at Daytona with them, as well as Sarah Bovey, who was part of that huge team last year, accomplishing everything from Belgium all over Europe, and Rahel Fry, of course. Daniel, this team very stacked, going to get a lot of attention. But one thing that's going to get a lot of attention as well too for them is, as you mentioned, that new car. They're not with Ferrari. They're with Lamborghini. When it comes to, like, say, stock car, IndyCar, you got a common chassis. The engine might be a little bit different, and the handling could be different depending on the bodywork. But in sports car racing, how huge is it to switch manufacturer? Because you don't have those kind of components.
Yeah, it is quite a huge difference. It's much more closer, for example, to what in Formula One would happen, because when a driver moves from one team to the next, it's a lot of adaptation to the new team, to the new people, to the new machine, which is really different. We've seen, for example, in practice, the last weekend when with the raw testing in Daytona. I think all the Iron Lynx cars, not only the crew from Iron Dames, but also the other two crews. It will take some time, of course, from the team also to get to learn the car, how to properly set up the car and to work on it, and how it's different when they make some adjustments. I think it will take a couple of races probably. I mean, also for the drivers, we've seen, for example, that they decided to stay with the same drivers, which makes sense. Because of course you don't want to with such a big change with the car, you don't want to have too many factors playing into what is already something that will take some time to adapt. So I think having the same team and the same drivers from last year, it made sense, and it's going to help for sure, because all of these drivers really know each other very well and are really good in race pace and in a team dynamic. But adapting to the car, of course, it will take a couple of races, because of course they have manufacturer support from Lamborghini, but now they had worked with Ferrari for quite some years, and they really knew the cars, from in each and every bolt of that car. So getting at the same level of confidence with the Lamborghini Huracan, it will take probably a couple more races.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge difference, like you said, from knowing every bolt to now a new car. Huge when it comes to sports car racing, and especially an endurance race like this. Comment in the chat from Demas. Hey, yo, what's up, guys? Demas, thank you so much for tuning in, as always, especially this race weekend. We're very excited. And he has a question. Do you know about Ledoux Wadu signing first women's Ferrari GT WC driver? Pretty big news, isn't it, Daniel?
Oh, it is absolutely great point. Lily Wadu, we followed her in the past couple of years. She really was an extraordinary progression from the Alpine Europa Cup in 2021 to the WEC in LMP2, which is a big jump. And then she was straight into the top 10 at her first Le Mans 24 hour, and really did very well last year in WEC. So I think it kind of makes sense for Ferrari to rely on a driver like Lilou. She also was the first woman to test in hypercar last year at the end of the year in Bahrain, at the end of the 8 hour of Bahrain, when the ACO decided to award Lilou with the rookie test in hypercar in the championship winning Toyota hypercar. And at the same time, she also tested the IF course in the Ferrari 488 GTE. That is the car that she will be driving this year. So in a Richard Mille program, first female factory driver, as it was mentioned in the chat, and which is a big news, because of course now Ferrari has quite a lot of female drivers in its program now, with the with the FDA, with the drivers in Formula 4, Aurelia Nobels, and then Maya Veo going up to Formula Regional, and now also the first GT driver, the first factory driver with Lilou Wadu. So I think that's going to be really interesting to follow Lilou in her first season in GTE.
Yeah, it's gonna be very exciting to see how she does in her first season. Thank you so much for that question, and Dimas. And of course, we also have Casey Campbell, wishing us hopefully we're all doing great, and definitely we're having a great time. We're very excited. Rolex 24. I know Casey will be involved with the grid live shows during the weekend as we count down to the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. And another driver, Daniel, that we've talked about, especially when it comes to sports car racing, is Ashton Harrison. In total, we have 23 entries in GTD. Ashton Harrison with Racers Edge Motorsports with Wayne Taylor Racing and Accurate NSXC GT3. And she has three co-drivers, including Ryan Briscoe from Mating Racers. Name sounds familiar. He was in INDYCAR for quite some time. Ashton has competed in Sebring last year and now is making her first 24 hours, Rolex 24 hours at Daytona. She has raced all over the United States, including Portland and some European rounds as well. But now she's going to Daytona, and as I mentioned, Daniel, those highly banked corners in turn 1 and 2 of the oval, 3 and 4 of the speedway. How do you anticipate Ashton Harrison to approach her stint when she's going into the car in this long endurance race?
Yeah, she had also a quite an impressive rise up the ranks of GT racing in the last couple of years. She was where she won the GT World Challenge America last year at her rookie season in Pro Am. And I think she's doing extremely well. She was also a big name in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North American Championship. And as you mentioned, she also raced in a couple of rounds in Europe, including the season finale in Portimao. She's been doing really well in the last couple of years, and especially in endurance racing. She was her first racing in SRO on the SRO platform was in 2021 at the 8 Hour of Indianapolis, which she won. That also, I mean, just to say how competitive she is. And I believe that she's also in a very good team. It's a very competitive crew, good teammates. They were second yesterday in free practice, in the last free practice yesterday. And as you mentioned, a very big field in GTD. So I do believe that Ashton has some good chances in coming into this race. I think she's already in a good position, also from the last weekend at the Roar. Did very well. She was often in the top 5, almost always in the top 10, I believe. So I think if everything goes well for Ashton on a reliability point of view, she has some pretty good chances coming into Daytona. As you mentioned, first time that she races at Daytona, big race, long race. Of course, the night it's going to be really tough for everyone. The banking is going to be a first for her. Well, she raced at the 8 Hour of Indianapolis, not the same kind of banking, but you still could say that she has raced on a bank's corner. But yeah, I think she has good chances coming into the race. Looking at the pace that they showed in practice so far.
Yeah, her races in Indianapolis from 6 degrees, about 6 or 9 degrees in those corners to the 30 some degrees. It's going to be really interesting to see her. And I think what's really exciting, Daniel, as well, we're going to see Ashton Harrison along with the Iron Dames in this race, at times racing with each other. And we still got a couple more drivers we're going to be talking about. One of the things, speaking about that, Casey Campbell on his channel, he had an opportunity to talk to Ashton. Highly encourage everyone, check out the link to Casey's channel. Check out that interview. And Daniel, one of the veteran star in this race, Catherine Legg. She has had success in IMSA. She's going to be back again. And one of the interesting things, she's going to have a rookie teammate, essentially, Sheena Monk. She's going to be in there with her in the G Radiant Racing Accurate NSX. Overall, Daniel, I found this was a very interesting pairing because Catherine has the experience when it comes to doing this race, the Rolex 24. Sheena has a lot of racing experience, but this is her first time doing the Rolex 24. What kind of performance do you anticipate from the two? And do you see sort of like Catherine the veteran taking the lead and Sheena as a rookie role, or do you think they're gonna really just have a different approach to this race and their stints?
Well, I think it's a very interesting team. Also, the Gradient Racing. Also, they have very good drivers with Sheena being the rookie, but I think she also showed pretty good pace in practice. Yesterday was also around the top 10. And obviously Catherine, she has a lot of experience, raced at Daytona many times,
Right.
both in prototypes and also in GTD, and she was second, her best result. So I think she's come so close to that victory, and she will really try to get that win in Daytona. But also, for example, Mario Farnbacher is racing with them. So I think it's another very good team, and the Acura has been really fast so far in qualifying, in all the practice sessions. So I think the Acura so far is probably one of the strongest cars that we've seen in the GTD field. And Catherine, I think she was she was Sheena's coach for quite a lot of years. So she knows Sheena very well, and she will really try to help her in her first GT3 race. Of course, last year she was racing in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge in a GT4 car, and did very well. I think last year it was really her best year in quite some time in motor racing since she's racing. She had also some season in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, I believe. But really, in the last couple of years, she's made a lot of progress, and I think it was quite the right time to step up into GT3. And there's really no better occasion that having your coach, your longtime coach, sharing the car with you to really make the most out of the weekend and learn the most. And it's also interesting that they will be contesting the full season. So quite plenty of track time for Sheena in the highest IMSA championship. So coming into GT4, she will probably try to get some time in the car to adapt to that. But except for for the first race, I think she has also some good chances to do well during the year. Well, on the other hand, Catherine really has a lot of experience. She returns to the Acura platform after racing for a couple of years on the Porsche platform. I think she was really good with the Acura. So coming back to that car, I think she might have some good chances. And again, yesterday she was really fast. So hopefully both Ashton Harrison and Catherine Legg and Sheena Monk will be up there fighting for the top 5 in this race.
It's going to be a very exciting battle in GTD, and we're definitely going to be following all the racers do. And of course, on your website, racersbehindthehelmet.com, you're going to be there recapping it. And next week we'll recap Rolex 24. And also we have the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Taylor Hagler, Roar Stratus, and Haley Deegan are competing this weekend. Now, of course, last weekend, Daniel, we had a couple of races that we talked about, and time to recap those, starting with Formula 4 UAE, where we had a former, well, still we don't know exactly, but a W Series racer, Bianca Bustamante, and a couple others in the field.
Oh yes, it's actually today the first race of the Formula 4 UAE. Tomorrow we will have the second and the third race in Q8. Interestingly, it was the very first single-seater race in Q8. New track. They had the 24-hour series in a couple of months ago. So really new track. The first single-seater race went underway this earlier today. And it was the Formula 4 UAE. So we have 5 female drivers on the grid. We have recapped the previous round in Dubai. We have, as you mentioned, a couple of drivers that raced last year in W Series. One of them is Bianca Bustamante, but also we have Emily De Heus, for example, racing for MP Motorsport. And then we have Hamda Al-Kubaisi racing for Yas Heat. Lena Buller racing for Art2 Race, and also in the same team we have Victoria Blocchina, who competed previously in the Italian Formula 4 Championship. So quite a huge field, a 40-car field in the Formula 4 UAE, very competitive. From first to last, there were like less than 2 seconds last weekend in Dubai. The gaps here are a little bit higher, but it's a new track. Everyone is learning the tracks, and also there's quite a some drivers with more experience that will adapt quicker than the rookies. A lot of drivers coming from karting, so it's really interesting to see, because most of these guys and girls will then move to other championships during the summer, what is considered the summer season. And today we had the race one in Q8. In qualifying, Bianca Bustamante really had a great couple of sessions. She was P15 in Q1. Which was by far her best result in qualifying, and also in the race. I think there was a red flag in the first lap, unfortunately, for an accident that involved multiple cars, and among them also Lena Buller and Hamda Al-Kubaisi. Lena was hit from behind and unfortunately could not continue. Well, Hamda was also hit, but then she, after a pit stop, I think she changed the front wing, and then she could continue, but unfortunately she was quite at the back. But Bianca really had a good pace. She kept the P15 throughout the most of the race, then slipped to P19, and then on the last lap she was down to P20. Finished P20, which is also her first top 20, really midfield, because as I mentioned, 40 cars here. Very good first race for Bianca, and also strong weekend for her so far, both in practice, even though she had quite a difficult start, because she kind of missed the first couple of practice sessions due to a car problem. So she adapted very quickly, and we are really excited to see what the second and third race will bring. Also from the other drivers, Emily De Heus was P25, so not a bad race for her as well. Victoria Blocchino was P28, and Hamda Al-Kubaisi unfortunately could not recover further than P31. So hopefully tomorrow is going to be a better race for Hamda and Lena. But really strong start of the weekend for Bianca so far.
A huge field, 40 cars to have that. What a impressive drive to go essentially midfield. It's so weird to say 20th is a good day, because I think a lot of us used to a 22 car field. Very exciting effort, and of course today we'll see what happens. Along with Daytona, of course, 24 hours. We had the 6 hours to Dubai there, and of course we mentioned about Jasmine Pricing. She was in that race. Overall, how's her season going, especially with now the 6 hours to Dubai behind her?
It's really interesting, because the Creventic Championship, which is also running the 24-hour of Dubai, which is traditionally the first big endurance event of the year, had quite a strange calendar, let's say, because they started in Dubai in January, and they finished the season in Q8, as I mentioned before, in December. But actually, the championship, they divided the championship in two parts. One is going to be the Middle East Cup, and then it's going to be the European Cup. So the Middle Eastern Cup included the last round from last year in Q8, and then the Dubai 24-hour and the Abu Dhabi 6-hour that have been just contested last weekend. So the first part of the season, the Middle East Cup, had already finished. And we had already some good results from female drivers, because it was a really strong race for all three of them. We had Jasmine Pricing, as you mentioned, in the TCR class. She was really strong, also a previous champion in this series. She was second, had a very challenging race, because they were running in podium positions throughout most of the race, and had quite a lot of challenges. But then really in her last stint, she did the last couple of hours of the race, she had massive stints, and she really made up a lot of time, and managed to almost close the gap to the winner. She was really close to the win. She claimed she was 6 seconds off the potential victory. So really strong race for Jasmine Pricing and Wolf Power Racing team in the TCR class. She finished second, but that was enough to actually to claim the Middle East Cup. So she was crowned champion of the Middle East Cup. In the GT4 category, on the other hand, we had Alaya Kolok. She was just back from the Dakar rally. Interestingly, she competes in both rally ride and events and in circuits events. She also raced last year, for example, in the Euro NASCAR Championship. And she won in GT4. It was only her second race in the 24-hour series by Creventic. She had previously raced last year at the 12-hour Spa. Unfortunately with a retirement, but now really she made up for it, and she won in GT4 after a very good battle and also some good strategic calls from her team. And the third driver racing at the 6 hour of Abu Dhabi last weekend was Laura Kreihammer. She is a factory driver for KTM. Quite experienced in GT. She was quite a late call into this race. Last race that she had done in this championship was in 2020, I believe, in Barcelona when she won the race. So quite a successful return to the championship for Laura. She's from Austria, as I mentioned, factory driver for KTM. She's also a press officer, interestingly, for KTM. And she won in the GTX class. Really challenging race for them because there was a new regulation in the safety car. In this championship previously, they had the code 60. So they had the speed limiter effectively when the race went into caution. From this race, they actually brought in the safety car in every neutralization. So that was quite a mess actually for many classes. Because of course that messes with the strategy. They were really leading and quite dominating that class, but unfortunately with many safety cars they went off sequence in the pit stops, and so Laura and one of her teammates really had to do some great stints toward the end of the race. Managed to recover over 40 seconds to win the race. So it was a challenging but really successful race and return to the championship for Laura Kreihammer, Alaya Kolok, and also Jasmine Pricing that, as I mentioned, won the Middle Eastern Cup.
And of course, we encourage everyone to check out the website racersbehindthehelmet.com. View all the stories. We mentioned a little bit about Taylor Hagler. Down goes more in depth about her racing journey, and then several other big stories going on throughout the racing world. And of course, definitely, along with the website, check out the racing calendar. Click on the link. See all upcoming races for the weekend and on Racers Behind the Helmet. And I really encourage everyone to check out the website. And of course, encourage everyone to subscribe to us right here on YouTube so you don't miss any of our programs. Right here on YouTube, we got Grid Live this weekend. We're going to preview and wrap up the Rolex 24 Hours and the Darien E-Prix weekend. 2 races, the first one today and the second one tomorrow. So we're going to be very excited, a very busy show. And of course, we encourage everyone, be sure to engage in our Pick a Winner game. Don't miss that as well. And a big thank you to our Patreon subscribers calling the show, Mark, Robin, and David. Our newest one, you too can invest in the Grid Network. Click on the link in the video description. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you set the amount, one-time contribution, and if you buy a drink for a particular on-air personnel, we'll thank you on the air. And Daniel, of course, thank you so much for your time, as always, for being on the show, making this all possible. And we thank everyone for tuning in today and everyone participating in the chat room. For Daniel Zaria, Races to Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Sanriego. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time and enjoy the races. Thank you for watching us right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Help us get to 500 subscribers before the Daytona 500. 2023 is going to be a really fun season. We want you to be part of it. All our live programs, plus special programs such as Roundtable and Live on the Grid. Click on the links to see some of our great videos right here on the Grid Network.